Hello there, folks. My name is Spoonks, and welcome back to another episode of Box Office Chat. This is the show where we break down the top 5 domestic box office results, see where each movie landed, and see how well each movie did. So let's get started. Number 5 was The Batman, making $6.4 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $358 million and a worldwide total of $735 million. Despite falling all the way down to number 5, The Batman continues to do very well at the box office. It had its best hold in its entire theatrical run, falling 41%. That is very impressive, especially given how long it's been in movie theaters. The fact that it's still holding as well as it has shows the film's really strong longevity. People are still encouraging others to go check it out while it's still in theaters. That is great, and this puts its domestic total around 40 million away from 400 million and around 50 million from 800 million worldwide. Given where it's at right now, I'm not sure if it's going to get to those totals yet. It is slowing down. Despite it slowing down impressively, it's still slowing down. I'm just not sure, given the competition coming out in a few weeks and the fact that the movie will be available to watch on HBO Max very soon, if that will allow this movie to cross those milestones. It just doesn't seem likely at the moment. And this is definitely not something like Spider-Man No Way Home, where it seems like competition will stop it, but then they decide to move out of the way, so that film had more time to reach those milestones. The competition is here, and it's staying here, which is unfortunate because I would have loved to see this movie cross those milestones. But even if so, this film is still doing really well at the box office. The fact that it's been in the top 5 for this long, held for so many weeks as well as it has for this long, and is the highest grossing film of the year both domestically and worldwide, just shows how well this movie resonated with audiences. It's still going to be the biggest movie of the year for now, at least, and I definitely think it's going to hold on to that for a very long time. And even if this is the very last time we see the Batman, I mean, who knows, maybe it might pull a Spider-Man and stay on for another month or so in the top 5, it still would not change the fact that this film had a spectacular run at the box office, and I'm very happy it was as successful and as big of a hit as it was. So good on you, The Batman. If this is the last time we see you, you had one hell of a run in the top 5 box office. Number 4 was Ambulance, opening to 8.6 million this weekend domestically and 31 million worldwide. So we talked about last week where I said there are things I see where it could work and didn't work. Apparently I should have leaned more to the things that didn't work, because I leaned heavily on the buzz last week, saying there weren't a lot of people talking about this movie, getting excited as they should, because otherwise everything seemed like it could have been not a fantastic opening, but a decent opening considering its budget of 40 million at least domestically, because the marketing was alright in my opinion. I saw a couple of promotion for it. They definitely got the word out in my opinion, and reviews were actually fairly solid. It's been some of the most positive reviews I've seen for a Michael Bay film in a while. This honestly could have done a lot better if people were interested in it, but the sad thing is audiences just weren't interested in it. I don't think the trailers or any of the promotional material made this movie look all that appealing to people. It just looked kind of stupid and cheesy and dumb, and I don't think modern audiences really cared about this movie. It's also been forever since Michael Bay has been on the scene. It's been forever since Transformers: The Last Knight and 13 Hours. Is that what that movie is called? And it's even been a little while longer since Six Underground. I know that's a Netflix film, but still, he hasn't been in the director's chair for quite some time. This is also his lowest opening for a movie he has directed ever, opening lower than, I believe it's called The Island. It's a movie from 2005. I believe that's what it's called. So yeah, right now things are not looking very good for the film domestically. As I mentioned earlier, the film had a budget of 40 million worldwide and it's at 31 million domestically. It opened in a couple international markets earlier this year, and it kind of helped boost its totals up a bit this weekend. And seeing how it's already about to surpass that total worldwide, I think the international markets and countries might give this movie the boost it needs, because it needs all the help it's gonna get. It's not gonna like turn into $1 billion movie in the next week or so. I mean, look at these totals, they're not that great. But if the international countries and the numbers over there do help this movie significantly, I can see it not only surpassing that budget, which it will be able to do, but maybe even double it, at least get to like, or even come close, maybe 75 million or even 80 million. We'll see if those numbers help it out, because once again, it's going to need all the help it can get. It's got a lot of competition to face in the couple weeks, and word of mouth is definitely going to need to be the saving grace for this film, because right now I think it's safe to say that Ambulance needs, well, an ambulance at the moment. Number 3 was The Lost City, making 9 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 68 million and a worldwide total of 78 million. So this movie continues to do fairly well for itself. It's actually quite become a sleeper hit at the box office right now, which is very impressive. It had a much better hold than last weekend, falling 39%, which is the best hold out of any of the movies in the top 5. That is very impressive. And just the fact that it's still in the top 5 competing with all of these major blockbusters shows once again and adds to my case that this is very solid counter programming. Word of mouth is doing this movie a lot of favors. Many people are enjoying this movie and encouraging others to go see it, which is much needed. I feel like we kind of needed this sort of movie in the top 5. I mean, Jackass started it, Dog was also kind of sort of like it, and now we have The Lost City also contributing to the fact that many people just want to see a fun, lighthearted comedy again, and this is doing favors. Now, it hasn't released in a whole lot of international countries that's what I've heard as of yet, which is why the international numbers are very low. But the fact that it's already have been surpassed its $74 million budget worldwide, and it's about to do so domestically, is also a very good sign of indicators to come. So once it finally releases internationally in more countries, I think that's going to help double the budget and get the film to even further success, because this film has already been doing very well at the moment and been doing honestly a lot better than I thought it was going to do. So yeah, overall another solid weekend for The Lost City. We'll see if it continues to hold over very well for the upcoming weeks. Like I said many times before, a lot of competition on the horizon, but so far so good. Number 2 was Morbius, making 10 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of 57 million and a worldwide total of 125 million. So you know how I said The Lost City had a very good hold? In fact, it had the best hold out of any of the movies in the top 5. Well, Morbius not only had the worst hold out of the films in the top 5, its hold was legitimately horrible. It had a second week drop off of 74%. That is not only bad, that is horrendous. This is the biggest second week drop off for any film associated with Marvel, topping the previous record holder X-Men Dark Phoenix, which had a second weekend drop off of 71%, and is the second biggest second weekend drop off, for any superhero comic book movie of all time, behind Shaquille O'Neal's Steel from way back then. Remember that movie? But yeah, this is a disaster, because I think it's safe to say that we are pretty much out of that whole excuse of, oh, we're in a pandemic, oh, people aren't all that ready to go back to the movie. No, No, things have changed over. More studios are willing to release their movies in theaters now. We're definitely not doing the whole hybrid release. Some movies are, but the majority is we're either going to theaters or we're dumping it on a streaming service. And the fact that this movie, which keep in mind you, was held on the shelves for 2 years, it kept getting pushed back and back. They were waiting to put this film in theaters for quite some time, and it fell this badly in its second weekend. That shows that audiences do not like this movie, and it's definitely not going to be like Venom, that's for sure. I don't even think it's going to crack 80 million at the domestic box office. It's definitely a disappointing turnout for this movie. I don't think Morbius Mania is going to sweep the nation like Sony wanted them to, and it looks like this film might underperform expectations. However, believe it or not, there is a silver lining to this, and that is the budget. We talked about this last week. The film had for a superhero comic book movie, a cheap budget of $75 million. And last weekend, in its opening weekend, it was able to surpass that. And it's already surpassed $100 million worldwide, and it's almost about to double that with around $150 million it needs to get to in order to double that $75 million budget. Given where it's at, I think it's got a shot at doing that. So despite how horrible, and I cannot stress this enough, horribly it has done domestically, it might be able to break even. Again, it could continue to plummet. We don't know. Maybe international countries might catch on and say, oh yeah, we're not seeing this either. But right now it could be successful. It might have a silver lining, but as far as domestically goes, oh boy, this movie is in a lot, and I mean a lot of trouble. We'll see where it goes from here, if it can pick itself back up, but right now things are not looking good for this movie. And finally, let's end the video off with the number one movie of the weekend, and that was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, opening with $72 million domestically and $142 million worldwide. So bear with me, folks. There are a lot of milestones and achievements this film has set and surpassed, so we got a lot of discussing to do. First off, this is the fourth film from Paramount this year to open to number one, but not only that, to have a successful number one opening weekend behind Scream 5, Jackass Forever, and The Lost City. Like me and saw the film and really liked it, check out my review for more details on that, isn't happy where this film is at. I'm sure Paramount is happy, considering that it definitely needs a new franchise to compete with all the other franchises right now. And given it's a family film, I definitely think it's going to have very strong holds, very strong longevity. Word of mouth seems to be very strong right now. It got an A on Cinema Score, and audience reactions are definitely more positive than the critical reactions, as to be expected with these types of family films and video game adaptations. But overall, yeah, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is really successful at the moment. I can't wait to see where this movie heads into the future, but as for right now, Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is off to a fantastic start. And keep in mind, folks, we are only in April, and Paramount has scored the most amount of hits than any other studio this year. That is insane. This film has also scored the second biggest opening weekend of the year, behind obviously The Batman, but it was also able to top Uncharted, Morbius, and The Lost City domestically for the biggest opening weekend of the year. That is great, but it's not the only chart where it was able to top Uncharted, as it has also scored the biggest opening weekend for a movie based off of a video game, topping, well, Sonic the Hedgehog, but also Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, and once again Uncharted. And this film also grabbed the biggest opening weekend for a family film post-theater closure, topping the previous record holder of that title. Space Jam: A New Legacy, which opened to 31 million back last July, and it also topped Encanto, Sing 2, and The Addams Family 2 as well. So I don't know if you know this, but this film had a pretty successful opening weekend. It actually opened better than the first film, which opened to 58 million when it was released in theaters on Valentine's Day weekend in 2020. Man, remember those times when the pandemic wasn't even on our minds? Remember those days? But anyways, the fact that this movie was able to do this successfully to this degree just shows how much people really liked the first Sonic film. It was a hit. I mean, it was one of two movies that year to make 100 million domestically, but the fact that it was this successful shows the strength it had. Many people loved watching it in the theater, then renting it at home when, well, we couldn't do anything else, and got pumped for the sequel, as they should, because the marketing was great, and it is in fact the first family film of the year and the first family film to release in movie theaters since Sing 2, because, well, Hotel Transylvania went to Amazon and Turning Red went to Disney Plus, so families didn't really have a whole lot to go check out in the first couple months of the year, and thankfully Sonic sufficed with them, and now it has become one of the most successful opening weekends of any video game movie. The most successful, rather. I apologize on that. It is definitely going to become the third film this year to surpass 100 million domestically, and I definitely believe it's going to surpass Uncharted domestically to become the second highest grossing film of the year at the moment. Don't think it's going to top Batman, because that seems like a bit of a reach right now, but even if it can get halfway to Batman's total, that is still a very successful total to be on. And speaking of success, this film was able to make the majority of its budget back already. The film costed 90 million to make. It made 72 million domestically and 142 million worldwide. It's going to double that total next week and make its 90 million back by next week. I can even see it hitting 100 million by next week. So many great things to talk about Sonic 2. It was just a fantastic week. If you were a Sonic fan, you got to see a great movie, and the movie was hugely successful. I don't see how any Sonic fan or anyone. And those were the top 5 domestic box office results for this weekend, but we're not quite done yet, as we've got another week ahead of us and new movies hitting theaters this weekend. And this weekend we got 2 major wide releases, the first one being Father Stu. This is one of those Christian-based films that's also based on a true story about a boxer who turned his life around to become a priest, starring Mark Wahlberg as the title character, Father Stu. I'm not really sure how well this movie's going to do. They're trying to get a jump on the weekend by releasing it on Wednesday as opposed to Friday, but I'm not sure if that's going to help it out. The buzz isn't very strong with this movie. Reviews have been very mixed from what I've seen, and the marketing hasn't been the best. I've seen ads and promotion for it, but not to the extent where I think it will be a stellar opening weekend per se, but you never know. I thought I Can Only Imagine was probably gonna tank, but it actually became one of the biggest movies of the year back when it came out in 2018, which was very surprising. So we'll see how Father Stu does. And the other big release hitting theaters is Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. This is the third film in the Fantastic Beasts franchise, and if I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure how well this movie's going to do. This is kind of a wild card because it's based off of a popular franchise. Harry Potter fans are sure to be the driving force to the success of this movie. It could do well, probably, if buzz is really strong, but that's the thing. The buzz isn't really that strong with this movie. I'm not seeing a whole lot of people getting excited or talking about this movie the way I saw other people getting excited for Sonic or the Batman. Even the marketing, I feel like, has been lacking. I haven't been seeing a whole lot of promotion for it. I've seen it definitely, and it's not where I would think, oh yeah, this is gonna flop or anything, but I feel like the marketing has been lacking. I've been seeing it's just been mainly a couple of posters and ads, nothing to really encourage others to go see the film. And to add on, the reviews right now are very mixed. People are very iffy on this film right now. I'm not sure where this film's going to end up. It released internationally earlier this year, but not with the best turnout. It opened to 58 million internationally, which isn't bad, but Crimes of Grindelwald opened to 191 million when it released in 2018. So I'm sensing some franchise fatigue here. We'll see how this movie does. Hopefully it can surpass its expectations, and maybe it can defy all of the odds using some of its magic, but right now I'm not sure if it's going to be able to do so. But we'll see how well this movie does, as well as the rest of the movies that land on the top 5 on the next Box Office Chat. And that's gonna do it for this week's episode of Box Office Chat. What did you all think of the results? Were you satisfied, unsatisfied? Comment down below and let me know. If you like this video, hit the like button. If you like this channel, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on all the social media links right there. And until next time, everyone, stay sharp.